Hey guys, so today I'm going to be doing a wrap up for both November and December. I never did one for November, but I only read 2 books that month, so I didn't think it would be a big deal to just put it together in one video. I did read a lot in December, however, mostly because I was trying to finish my Goodreads reading challenge, which I ended up reading a lot of children's books and graphic novels towards the end of the month because I was really behind and that was the only way I was going to complete the challenge. So maybe that's cheating, but whatever. At least I got 100 books read, which was what I really wanted. So yes. So anyway, let's get into what I read for November and December. So the first book that I read in November was Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn, and this book was absolutely amazing. It's about a girl who goes missing, hence the name Gone Girl, and the whole time everybody's kind of blaming her husband for it, but you have no idea what's going on. You don't know what happened to her, and so you're trying to figure it out throughout pretty much the first half of the book, and it's just so intense and dark and creepy. It's a psychological thriller, so it definitely messes with your mind a little bit. I was so addicted to this book, I could not put it down. The plot and the characters were so complex and just, it blew my mind. So I highly recommend this book. I gave it a full 5 stars. It was definitely a great read. The second and last book that I read in November was Landline by Rainbow Rowell. Rainbow Rowell is one of my favorite authors of all time, so this was her newest book that I hadn't read yet. This one is about a girl named Georgie McCool who is a writer for like sitcoms and TV series. She's having some trouble with her marriage, so her husband goes back home for Christmas and her phone dies, but she wants to call her husband, so she finds this old landline phone that used to be hers when she was younger, and when she uses it to call her husband, it ends up calling him in the past. So it's like this magic phone, and it was so interesting. It was so good and well done. I mean, I feel the same way about all of Rainbow's books. Like, the characters are just amazing, and I just want to live in the world that she creates and with the people that she creates. It was fantastic. It did not disappoint in any way, and I gave it a full 5 stars as well. So then in December, the first book that I read was Mistletoe Promise by Richard Paul Evans. I actually borrowed it from a friend, which is why I don't have it. This is his newest Christmas book, and if you watch my channel at all, you probably know that I love his Christmas books so much. I read them every year. This one was really good, although I can't say it's my favorite of his books, but I did still really enjoy it, and I gave it 5 stars. This one's about a girl and a guy who work in the same building, so that's how they meet, and they end up coming up with this idea to create a pact called the Mistletoe Promise, where they pretend to be each other's boyfriend and girlfriend for the holidays, and of course they end up falling for each other, and it was very cute. I enjoyed it very much, and like I said, I gave it 5 stars because even though it's not my favorite of his books, it was still amazing. He's a fantastic writer, so really liked it. Next on my Kindle, I read Burying Water by K.A. Tucker, who is another one of my favorite authors. I ended up reading a bunch of books from favorite authors. I didn't realize that. This is her newest new adult series. It's like a companion novel series. This story starts out where this girl wakes up in this hospital and she has no idea who she is. She doesn't know her own name, doesn't know where she is. She finds out that she has been badly beaten and was left for dead in this parking lot. So you get her perspective, but then you also get the perspective of the love interest through these flashbacks about how they met and kind of their story and what happened. I'm not really doing it justice by explaining it, but it's just so good and I highly recommend it. Like, if you love new adult, you will love her writing. I just feel like you will, because she's one of the best in my opinion, and I love her books so much. It was so great. So I gave it a full 5 stars. The next book that I read was also borrowed from the same friend who lent me the Mistletoe Promise, and it is Wonder by R.J. Palacio. I'm so excited that I finally got a chance to read this because I've been wanting to for a long time. This one is about a boy named Augie who has a facial disfigurement, and when the story picks up, he's about to start public school for the first time and he's going into middle school. It's definitely a coming of age story, and it's just about him experiencing life. You get Augie's perspective, of course, but you also get the perspective of everyone around him. It's a beautiful story, and it's definitely one that I would recommend to everyone. Like, it doesn't matter how old you are, it's definitely a book that you need to read. So great. I gave that one a 5 stars as well. So now we're kind of getting into the part of the month where I started reading children's books and graphic novels, so just prepare yourself, there's a lot. And this next thing that I read was actually a picture book, and it is Paddington by Michael Bond, and I'll just flip open to show you what it looks like on the inside. It was so cute. I'm really obsessed with Paddington now, and I can't wait to see the movie. I thought this was adorable and I gave it a 4 stars. But then after that, I also picked up the chapter book, which is A Bear Called Paddington by Michael Bond. And this actually tells the same story as the picture book in the beginning, which I didn't realize. But then obviously it's much longer than the picture book, so much more happens in it. And it kind of picks up where the picture book left off and continues. It was absolutely adorable. I enjoyed it very much. I did have a difficult time getting through it, but I'm pretty sure it was just the mood that I was in, so overall, I really enjoyed reading this. I gave this one a 4 stars. These next 2 graphic novels have become some of my all-time favorites. The first one is Rapunzel's Revenge, and the second one is Calamity Jack. And these are by Shannon and Dean Hale, and they are illustrated by Nathan Hale. I adore these books. Like, I feel like kids should be reading books like this. They're just so fantastic. As you can probably tell, this first book is about Rapunzel, but there's some definite twists on it, which I absolutely love. And in this story, Rapunzel meets up with Jack from Jack and the Beanstalk, so that's pretty cool. And then, as you can probably tell from the second book, that one is more about Jack, but Rapunzel and some of the characters from the first book are definitely still in it and still a big part of it. I definitely recommend these. I gave them both 5 stars. This next book I was kind of reading throughout the whole month of December, and I actually ended up finishing it, I think, 2 days after Christmas, and that is My True Love Gave to Me, which is by these 12 different authors down here. I'll let you look at that. It was absolutely fantastic. I thought these stories were so cute and so much fun to read for the holidays. Rainbow Rowell was of course one of my favorites because I love her. Stephanie Perkins was pretty great. Matt De La Pena, I liked his a lot. Gail Forman, Myra McIntyre, I don't know, I liked them all mostly. There was a couple that weren't my favorite, so I gave the overall book 4 stars because of that, but there are definitely a bunch of short stories that if I were to rate them separately, I would give them 5 stars. Next, I read The Undertaking of Lily Chen, which is by Danica, and I'm gonna let you look at her last name because I would just embarrass myself trying to say it. I loved the artwork. I mean, just look at this cover, it's gorgeous, but that is where my love for this graphic novel ends. The story was just like really crazy. I wasn't a big fan of it. This is about this guy who accidentally kills his brother, and basically his family tells him that the only way he can redeem himself is to go find basically a woman's corpse for his brother to marry in the afterlife. So he goes in search for this, but he ends up finding a live girl that he kind of plots to kill, but then he ends up falling for her, and it's just like crazy. And the artwork was really fun to look at. I mean, it was very pretty, so I'm definitely not dissing this graphic novel at all. If it sounds interesting to you, pick it up. I definitely want to try more by this author because I do love the artwork, so I would definitely give her another chance. So yeah, I gave it a 3 stars because it was enjoyable to look at and it was still enjoyable to read. Next, I read Nothing Can Possibly Go Wrong, which is by Prudence Shin and Faith Erin Hicks. And this is kind of a complicated story to explain. Basically, if you look at the people on the front, you've got the cheerleaders, you have the science team, and this is the captain of the science team, and this guy is kind of caught in the middle because he used to date a cheerleader and he's friends with the captain of the science team. And this big war basically starts because the cheerleaders want money from the school for new uniforms, but the science team wants the money to go to this robot convention, and so the principal decides that the student body is going to decide who gets the money, and so the cheerleaders elect this middleman to represent them in the student body election, and then he runs for president as well, and so it's like this big war that breaks out, and it was really good. I actually enjoyed it much more than I thought I would. The artwork is really cool. Faith Erin Hicks' artwork is very distinct, and I really enjoyed it. So I gave this a 4 stars, and it's one I would definitely recommend picking up. It's very fun. Next, I read Peanut, which these are the authors' names. You know, like I said, I'll just let you try to pronounce it in your head. It's better than me attempting it. This is about a girl who is starting a new school and she kind of wants to make an impression, and so she decides to lie and say that she has a peanut allergy, which is very strange. That's not the first thing that would come into my mind to try to make an impression on people, but it works and everybody knows who she is, but of course the lies are going to catch up with her. So there's lots of drama. I definitely enjoyed reading it. The artwork's pretty cool. It's mostly black and white, but the girl's orange colored shirt is the only color throughout the whole thing. Thought that was interesting. So yeah, 3 stars. It was different and I liked it. Next, I read 2 of the Sherlock Holmes graphic novels, which were fantastic. I adored them. I'm really sad because my library doesn't have any more after these 2, but there's more in the series, so I don't know if I'm gonna have to buy them or what, but these were very enjoyable. The first one is A Study in Scarlet, and the second one is The Hounds of Baskervilles. I hope I'm saying that right. The only Sherlock I'm familiar with is the BBC show, which I am obsessed with, but I've never read the original story, so I can't really tell you about the adaptation from the originals to the graphic novels because I don't know, but I do plan on reading the original stories at some point, definitely. In my opinion, I thought these were just so well done. I'll just show you the artwork because I thought it was so amazing. I really, really, really loved it. I gave both of these 5 stars. Next, I read Wonderstruck, which is by Brian Selznick, who is the author of The Inventions of Hugo Cabret, which I read that a few years ago and loved it. I didn't like this book as much as Hugo Cabret, but it was still really good and enjoyable. But I ended up giving this one 3 stars in the end because it didn't meet my expectations, unfortunately. But the artwork is still absolutely fantastic. Like, I love the artwork in this book. And it's really cool because in this one, the story is told in dual perspectives, and half of the story is told in text and then the other half is told in pictures. So that's pretty cool. And I thought I would just show you some sketches because they're just very, very cool. So yes, I did enjoy it. I loved the pictures, but the storyline for me just wasn't as good as his other books, so I had my expectations pretty high. But it's still worth a read, I think. So yeah, 3 stars. The last thing that I read in December was Fracture Me, which is the second novella in the Shatter Me series. Oh, I wanted to like it more than I did. But I guess I just didn't like it because it was from Adam's perspective, and I don't like him, especially now that I'm reading the 3rd book. Like, I can't stand him. So Destroy Me was definitely my favorite novella in the series. Like, Warner, yes please. But I still enjoyed it, and because you get more from the story that you wouldn't get if you didn't read these. So it was still good. I gave it a 3 stars, or maybe a 4 stars. I might have given it a 4. So finally, that is it for everything that I read in November and December. I am sorry that this was such a long video, but I had a lot to talk about. So yeah, I had a really great reading month, both November and December, really. I just pretty much loved everything. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. In the Shatter Me series, I couldn't think for a second. Next, I wed Next, I wed one dog. And so they kind of work together. Oh my god. I'm gonna have to stop making video because you can hear the shower going. It was out. Is a sitcom. I don't even know if the words I'm saying make sense. Okay.